Shavua Tov. I wanna just see this piece on Cleopatra. I want to learn about when Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt, the Gemara is telling the story when she met Rabbi Meir, and I just want to see this. And then we're going to go on to another piece where there's a famous incident with the Caesar and of Gamliel. So for all those that are looking for the spot, it's Tzadi Amid Beis, 90, i.e. 90, folio B, right at the bottom. So I'm reading from the Gemara in Hedrin 90b. Shalo Cleopatra Malkusa, es Rabbi Meir. So right at the bottom, 4 lines from the bottom. So Cleopatra asked Rabbi Meir. Just that in itself is a very interesting way to start a Gemara. Amra, Yodana Dechai Shachve. That I know that there will be a resurrection of the dead. Cleopatra is stating this, which when I asked the Rosh Shiva, he said, yeah, she was holding it. That's what he said. That she knew. She's and she brings a pasuk. She brings a proof from the verse from King David. Dichsiv yotzitzu meir ke'esev ha'aretz. And they shall sprout from the city. Rashi says the city is referring to Yerushalayim, like the grass of the land. Referring to they in the future, i.e. those righteous ones that will be resurrected in the time of Mashiach, they will sprout forth like grass coming out of the earth. So already you just stop and you think, wow, Cleopatra comes to Rabbi Meir. The one thing that's on her mind is resurrection. Now we know that in Egypt they were obsessed with death. So much of their culture was death related, was mummifying and trying to preserve life and understanding the book of the dead and everything about death. So you can understand here that there's some obsession here. The one thing she wants to talk about is not Shabbos, is not Kashrus, is resurrection of the dead. That's the one thing that's on her mind. And she brings a proof from King David that the prophet, the words written with divine inspiration from our great King David say that they will sprout forth, referring to the resurrection. So Cleopatra says, I believe that. I just have one question for you. Ella, my only uncertainty, Rabbi, kishehein oimdim, but when they do sprout forth, i.e. when the resurrection happens, oimdim arumin, will they get out of the ground unclothed? Will people resurrect with no clothing on? Or when they get out of the ground, will they be resurrected with clothing? That was Cleopatra's big thing that was on her mind when she met the rabbi. And everybody should think to themselves, when you meet the biggest rabbi in the world, what would you ask them? It's an important thing, because sometimes you meet great people and you want to know what to say in that moment. If you were to meet Reb Chaim, what would you say? So you want to have what to say. So on her mind was the resurrection. So the Cleopatra asked Rabbi Meir, she said, I believe in resurrection, which is a very fascinating thing. It also shows that she really believed that she was going to be a part of this. And we already mentioned, based on the Mishnah, that any person who believes that the resurrection will happen will come to the world to come. As long as they don't do the other things that prevent it. But if they have that as a core belief, and we explained it doesn't only mean Yisrael, it means all the nations of the world. One of the proofs we brought is because Bilam himself is omitted this week's parasha. The fact that Bilam is omitted in the Mishnah means that there are others from his nation that would be included. You hear the logic? The Mishnah only mentions Bilam is not part of it because there are others from his nation that would be part of it. So Cleopatra feels that she's one of those believers, and she's bringing a proof text and believing in the resurrection. And she asks Rabbi Meir, my only question is, what's it going to look like? Are people going to have clothing on or not? So Rabbi Meir says, Amar la, the kal v'chaymer mechita. Rabbi Meir says we have a kal v'chaymer. A kal v'chaymer means if something is easy to do it. In this case, certainly when it's going to be stronger reason to say it, it's going to be able to do it. The classic example I give is if I can dunk a basketball and I'm 6'2" on a good day when I'm standing up straight, and I have decent hops, and I wear barefoot shoes, certainly Kal v'chomer Michael Jordan can dunk a basketball because he is 11, and can jump higher than me, and is wearing Air Jordans. That's a Kal v'chomer.
Can you also dunk a basketball? Serious question.
No, really, it was when I was growing up, it was like a goal in life for me. And in my heyday, I almost did it. I know, it's like, you thought I was going to say in my heyday, I really did it?
Yeah.
It was like and I'm still working on it, I think. I haven't invested that much in it of recent years. Not to say it's not part of something I'd like to do, but it's not like a goal, per se. I used to really work on my hops and do all sorts of things for it. I almost right there.
You only get to practice the once a year yeshiva.
Once a year I get to go and practice.
I think it'd be a really good cue if you could
And just make a video. Make a video. The one just. Okay, so maybe based on that, we'll have to double up my efforts.
It's just actually really just a dark screen.
It's very important to stay fit. That I believe in. So anything that I can do to stay totally fit is on the highest values. But fit and dunking don't always have to go, or not always necessary. You have to do specific things that give you, even the way you put your hand in the net, there's ways to dunk that to specifically work on your calves and your spring muscles. So I believe in staying fit, but you're saying maybe there's a specific reason specifically to learn how to dunk.
If you make a video, and it's just when you're
mixtape. The Rabbi mixtape.
Just all the Gemaras of rabbis that fly in the Gemara.
And then this.
All of a sudden it's just
okay.
Rabbi E, and it's just
So maybe we'll.
Yeah.
That's right.
We have to dunk. We just load it.
It's fine. So we'll discuss. So he brings a Kal v'chomer from Chita. What's the Kal v'chomer? Watch this. Chita means wheat, a kernel of wheat. What's the Kal v'chomer? When you plant wheat in the ground, does wheat have any clothing on? No, wheat is you just take the berry, they're called berries, wheat kernel or wheat berry. You take that kernel of wheat and you put it into the ground. When the wheat grows, what does it have? Stalk. Around the wheat, is the wheat unclothed, or does the wheat have chaff, and the wheat have bran, and the wheat have stalk around it? So the wheat, you plant it in the ground and it has nothing. But when it sprouts out of the ground, it has many layers of clothing. So the tzaddikim, when they are nikberim b'levusheyen, when they are planted in the ground, i.e., when we put people into the ground after they passed away, they are planted with clothing on. Either the pshat means they're planted with the clothing of the tachrichim, which means the shrouds, or it means the clothing, they have spiritual clothing from their mitzvahs. So Kal v'chomer, when they sprout forth, they're going to be wearing clothing. That was Rabbi Meir's response to Cleopatra. Amazing. Gewaldic, right? It's so fascinating that was what she was involved in. To know if there's... She believed in the world, she believed in resurrection. It was just how and what's it going to look like, and are there going to be clothing? And we say, with certainty, yes. Next Gemara. Very fascinating Gemara. We're going to be transitioning, just so everyone knows a little bit where we're going, because we're getting towards the 3 weeks. And all the tzaddikim say that when the 3 weeks come, it's all about Mashiach. That the ability to bring Mashiach during this time is more than the whole year. This is the time. So in these Gemaras, it goes right into the entire Messianic era. So we're going to transition into those Gemaras about Mashiach, right here, the same Gemaras. And then we're going to, like we mentioned, Elul time, go into the Machzor. We're going to go through the Rosh Hashanah davening inside, so bring your Machzors and Elul. And then we're going to go into an Emunah series. Just that we have a bit of a picture of where things are moving, where things are going. Amar le Kaisar Rav Gamliel. The Caesar met Rav Gamliel, and the Caesar had a question for Rabbi Gamliel. Amrisu you guys all say, the Shach Vechaya, you guys all say, all of the rabbis teach us and are talking about the resurrection, the Shach Vechaya, which means that those that are lying down will get up again. Obviously referring to those that are in the ground, they will once again get up. But the Caesar seems to just take a very his approach seems to be a little bit in opposition. And he asked maybe a simple question. Vaha have afra. Wait a second. Those who are dead are inside the dirt. The afra mikachaya. When was the last time you saw dirt getting up and animating itself? That was the Caesar's question to Rav Gamliel. What do you guys say about that? So we finished the page, Rabbi saying. Sadi Aleph, Amad Aleph.
Don't want to like resurrect people on their way down.
So they do. So the Caesar just seemed to he seemed to be using his mind, and he was saying the rabbis talk about that there will be a resurrection, and those who are buried in the dirt. So the dirt is going to become animated again, because what happens to the bodies after they go into the dirt? They become dirt, right? There's a returning to dirt. When was the last time that you saw dirt becoming forming into something? So that was his question to Gamliel. You guys all speak about this, but it's hard for me to understand using my mind why that would happen, why that would be a reality. Now it's so interesting. There was somebody there at that time of this discussion. The Gemara is teaching us and is recording all what was happening at that time. You know who was there in the conversation between the Caesar and Rav Gamliel? There was somebody else there at that time. Amra le Barate. What's Barate mean? It's like bar, but Barat.
Son of.
So in this case, Baras with the sav makes it feminine. So the daughter of the Caesar was there also during this conversation. And the daughter of the Caesar said to Rav Gamliel, do you mind if I answer my father? So her father, the Caesar, asked the question of Gamliel. I know you rabbis all talk about the resurrection of the dead, and that's something that is very, very big and fundamental in Jewish belief. And I just have a question for you, but it's dirt. When was the last time dirt just forms into something? Caesar's daughter is there. And she says, do you mind if I answer my father? Which is very interesting. Why she's getting involved in the first place. That's itself of interest. And Rav Meir says, sure. See, what did I say? Rav Meir? Yeah, Rav Gamliel. Excellent. Rav Gamliel says, sure. Yes. Please. Now, does Rav Gamliel have sources? Does he have proofs, text proofs that he couldn't tell Caesar? Yeah, we just mentioned about 100 of them. So he has no shortage of text proofs from the Torah. And also Cleopatra had a text proof as well. The daughter of Caesar is not going to do a proof from the text. She's going to use a proof that's a logical proof. Why she wanted to do that, we'll have to discuss. But she wants a logical proof, which seems to mean, on the simple level, even if you don't have the text proofs, which we do, even in logic, there's going to be a reason to believe. Listen to her logic. You guys ready for this? I'm going to respond to my father. Okay? Says the daughter of the Caesar. This is so beautiful, this Gemara. It's gorgeous. She said, Father, imagine we have two potters. We have two vessel makers in our city. Of course, there was many vessel makers in Rome. So imagine two of the greatest vessel makers in Rome. Yoitza means people who fashion, who make vessels, pottery. Echad yoitzer min hamayim, ve'echad yoitzer min hatid. One of these vessel makers can make vessels out of water, and one of them makes vessels out of clay, out of dirt. Eize mehem meshubach. Which one of them is more praiseworthy? Which one of them is a more talented vessel maker? The one who can make vessels out of clay, or the one who could fashion vessels out of water? Water, right? If you can make a vessel out of water, you got to be some real impressive potter. I don't know how that's going to work, but you got to really be impressive to pull that one off, right? To make it out of clay, to fashion a vessel out of clay, it doesn't take that to be chacham, such a big, such a wise human being to make a vessel out of clay. That's how they're made. So far, so good. So that was the question that the daughter of the Caesar posed to her father, the Caesar.
She must have been Jewish. She answered the question with another question.
So it's very good. So it's fascinating, her role in all this. That you see, there's many times people who, when they were around great sages, they realized that the wisdom of the sages held in eternal truth. And even though they grew up in a house of idol worship, or a house that was completely denied certain values, eternal values, they sensed something was off. And they went towards the eternal wisdom of the Torah. So look what she said. She brought a very simple, logical proof. So the question was, what's greater, to make a vessel out of water, or to make a vessel out of clay? So look what she says. So the father obviously responded, Amar la, zeh sheyotz min hamayim. Obviously the one that can make a vessel out of water, that can fashion a form out of water, it's more impressive than somebody can fashion a form out of clay, out of earth, out of dirt. So look what she said. Amar la, my father, listen to what you just said. You just brought proof from your very words. Min hamayim tsar. You said the one who can make a vessel out of water is greater. God makes vessels out of water. What's the vessel he makes out of water? The seed. We all come from a drop. A seed that is essentially liquid, water, that could easily spoil. A seed, the seed of human life. And God takes this watery substance, the seed, this of literally seed, and turns it into a human being. Allows this watery solution to become a human being. If God can make human beings out of seed, of substance that's like seed, like water, well, he can't make human beings out of the earth and the ground. My father, the Caesar, you have such a problem with making human beings out of earth. God himself makes them out of water. It takes you that much further to understand that he can make them out of earth? Daughter of the Caesar. She should come to yeshiva. She's great. It's great, right? I'm sure she went like that after she said it. It's gewaldic, right? And furthermore, she adds another idea. There's a discussion exactly what her response to her father was. There's another response that she has attributed to her. The Beir Rabbi Yishmael Tana, Kal v'chaymer mikli zachuchis. She brought a kal v'chaymer from a vessel made out of glass. Makli zachuchis she'amalim beruach basar v'dam. How do you make glass blown? Sculptures. So you heat it up, and then what do you do? When it's hot, in order to make the shape and to fashion the formation, the glass blower blows into the hollow space, and the glass blows and becomes formed. Right? You ever seen glass blowing? It's very beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's fun. It's a Yira Kodesh. So how is the glass fashioned? Glass blowing? It's fashioned through the Ruach Hayim, the breath of the human. We blow into it, and the glass is expanded. But can the glass break? Yeah, glass can actually break pretty easily. What happens after the glass breaks? Can you refashion it? Yeah, you melt it back. You melt it in glass, of course. You take the glass, it breaks. It's easy to break, but then you can melt down the glass and make more glass. It breaks, put it back together, and you can blow more glass. So if a human being can blow something and fashion it in a glass that can break, and you can rebuild it, certainly God, who blew the soul into man, once this breaks down, certainly he can re-blow it. That was her second point to her father, the Caesar. Why she had both? So you might say on the first side that it was just talking about the body. That what's greater, a potter that can make pots out of water, a potter that can make pots out of tit, out of earth, the one that can make it out of water. Well, Father, you just admitted the greatness, because God himself makes vessels, i.e. us, out of water. Certainly he can make vessels out of earth. So maybe there her father would only believe that he could make just form, that he would bring back form, that the resurrection would look like, that we'd be like animals essentially, Neanderthals. That we'd come back being these forms, and we wouldn't have the breath of life in us. And therefore she brings the second point to her father, that humans that make things, i.e. glass, that we blow the life into it, it gives it form. And those can break and you can rebuild that. Certainly God that blew the soul into man, definitely he could bring back the form and blow a soul back into it again. She's amazing. The daughter of the Caesar, she's fantastic. We're going to mention one more thing tomorrow, exactly why she got involved in the conversation. And B'ezrat Hashem, you see, wisdom is available for anybody who wants it. Wisdom is available for anybody who wants it. It's something that we have a mission to teach all of humanity. The wisdom of Hashem's Torah. And if a person uses their mind, they're developing an eternal inheritance. An eternal inheritance that they'll have forever and ever and ever. That's called the Torah of Hashem, and a relationship to Hashem forever. We should be zeichet to this. Amen. Have a wonderful week.